The silent cry. The Zephyrian research station floated silently in the void between galaxies, its crystalline sensors reaching across impossible distances to listen for whispers of life among the stars. Dr. Kira Zenith pressed her elongated fingers against the quantum resonance panel, her pale blue skin shimmering with concentration as she monitored the deep space communications array. The Zephyrians had always been listeners. Their species had evolved on a world where sound traveled through crystal formations, creating natural networks of communication spanning continents. When they reached the stars, they brought this gift with them, becoming the galaxy's premier researchers in long-range communication and xenobiology. Dr. Zenith called her assistant, Researcher Vex, his melodic voice carrying the concern that had been building for weeks. The background quantum noise is increasing again. Something is disrupting the natural harmonics in the Andromeda sector. Kira's large, opalescent eyes focused on the data streams flowing across her workstation. The readings were unlike anything in their databases. Where there should have been the gentle murmur of stellar activity and planetary electromagnetic fields, there was growing silence. Not the peaceful quiet of empty space, but something far more disturbing, the absolute absence of life signs where thriving civilizations should exist. "Show me the progression analysis," Kira requested, her voice maintaining the calm professionalism her species was known for, even as dread began to coil in her chest. The holographic display materialized above their workstation, showing the Andromeda sector over the past 6 months. System after system showed normal readings, then sudden, complete silence. The pattern was methodical, relentless, spreading outward like a plague of nothingness, consuming everything in its path. 17 star systems, Vex whispered, his normal composure cracking. Over 40 billion life signs, just gone. No distress calls, no evacuation signatures, no signs of warfare. They simply stopped existing. Kira studied the data with growing horror. Her people had catalogued thousands of species across dozens of galaxies, but they had never seen anything like this. The silence wasn't random, it followed trade routes. Communication networks, the very pathways that connected civilizations. Something was hunting along the threads that bound the galaxy together. "Wait," Kira said, her fingers dancing across the quantum resonance controls. "There's something here." A signal buried in the quantum foam, heavily encrypted and barely coherent. The research station's most powerful decryption algorithms worked for nearly an hour before the message began to resolve. When it finally came through, both Zephyrians stepped back from their stations in shock. The transmission was fragmented, filled with static and interference, but the desperation in the alien voice was unmistakable. The speaker was clearly injured, their words punctuated by the sounds of destruction in the background. "This is crystalline sage Theron of the luminous cluster. Our worlds are dying, the devourers have found us, they consume everything. Matter, energy, life itself, they learn, they adapt, they cannot be stopped." The message continued, describing machines that stripped planets bare, converting matter into more of themselves. The crystalline speaker's voice grew weaker as they continued. "We are the last. The Andromeda Council fell in hours, our greatest fleets turned to dust, they spread through hyperspace itself. If anyone receives this, do not come, do not investigate, flee. Find the edge of known space and go further, they are coming for everyone." The transmission cut to static, leaving the research station in absolute silence. Vex was the first to speak, his voice barely a whisper. "Kira, if this is real, if something can destroy entire civilizations this quickly, we need to alert the Galactic Council immediately," Kira replied, already activating the emergency communication protocols. The quantum entanglement communicator hummed to life, establishing instantaneous contact with the council chambers on Nexus Prime. The response came from Council of Rax, a member of the hegemony species known for their pragmatic approach to galactic politics. His insectoid features remained impassive as he listened to Kira's report. "Dr. Zenith," Vrax clicked in his species' mechanical tone, "while we appreciate your research station's diligence, the Andromeda sector is over 50,000 light-years from the nearest council world. Even if this threat is real, which our military analysts doubt, it would take millennia to reach council space through conventional means." "But Counselor," Kira protested, "the crystalline transmission mentioned hyperspace travel. If these devourers can move through higher dimensions, the Council has reviewed similar reports before," Vrax interrupted. "Panic transmissions. from distant systems often proved to be hoaxes, territorial disputes, or natural disasters misinterpreted by frightened populations. Without physical evidence, the Council cannot justify the massive resource expenditure required for such a distant intervention. The communication channel closed, leaving Kira staring at the dark screen in disbelief. Around her, the research station continued its silent vigil, monitoring the growing dead zone in Andromeda space. "They don't understand," Vex said quietly. "The crystalline weren't prone to panic. Their species survived for over 10 million years by being cautious, analytical. If Sage Theron sent that message, it means their situation was truly hopeless." Kira began composing a detailed report, including every piece of data they had collected. She sent copies to research institutions, military academies, and independent organizations across known space. Most recipients filed the reports away, dismissing them as interesting but irrelevant academic speculation. But in a small communication monitoring station orbiting Earth, a young technician named David Park read Dr. Zenith's report with growing alarm. Unlike the major galactic powers, humanity was still considered a minor species, barely worthy of notice by the Council. But David had served in Earth's Defense Force during the Proxima incident, and he recognized the signs of an extinction-level threat. Within hours, David's report was on the desk of Admiral Sarah Chen, Earth's highest-ranking military officer. Chen was a veteran of humanity's expansion into space, a woman who had earned her rank through competence rather than politics. She read the Zephyrian research data twice before reaching for her emergency communication device. "Get me Captain Stone," she ordered. "Tell him to report to headquarters immediately. We may have a situation." Back on the research station, Kira continued monitoring the Andromeda sector, watching as the silence spread. Each passing hour brought new dead zones, more civilizations falling to whatever was consuming them. The pattern was becoming clearer. Now, the threat wasn't random. It was intelligent, purposeful, and it was accelerating. "Dr. Zenith," Vex said, his voice tight with fear, "I'm detecting new quantum signatures at the edge of the dead zone. Whatever destroyed those civilizations, it's building something. Something massive." The readings showed energy patterns. Unlike anything in their databases, structures that spanned entire star systems, converting stellar matter into geometric patterns of incomprehensible purpose. The Devourers weren't just destroying civilizations, they were harvesting them, using the accumulated matter and energy to construct something that defied understanding. "We need to warn someone who will listen," Kira said, her usual calm completely abandoned. "If the Council won't act, maybe we can find others who will." She began broadcasting the crystalline message on every frequency, sending it to every corner of known space. Most who received it ignored or dismissed the warning, but somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, other listeners were beginning to pay attention. In the Outer Rim territories, where the galaxy's younger species struggled to establish themselves, the message found more receptive audiences. The Altarians, recently liberated from hegemony occupation, forwarded the data to their allies. The vegan colonies, still bitter from their exploitation by Council member species, began quiet preparations for evacuation. And on Earth, in the offices of the Terran Defense Force, Admiral Chen was assembling a response that would shock the galaxy. Humanity might be considered primitive by Council standards, but they had learned hard lessons about the cost of ignoring distant threats. As the research station continued its lonely vigil, monitoring the advancing wall of silence in Andromeda space, none of them knew that their desperate warning had reached the one species crazy enough to consider the impossible, traveling 50,000 light-years to fight an unknown enemy for the sake of strangers they had never met. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the newest voices were the only ones brave enough to answer a call for help. Earth's unlikely heroes Captain Marcus Stone stood at attention in Admiral Chen's office, his weathered face showing no emotion as he absorbed the briefing. The holographic display showed the Andromeda sector data, the spreading zone of silence. That had consumed 17 star systems in less than 6 months. At 42, Stone was considered young for a fleet command position, but his tactical innovations during the Centauri defense had earned him respect throughout the Terran military. The Galactic Council refused to act, Admiral Chen continued, her dark eyes reflecting the weight of command that had shaped her over 3 decades of service. They consider the threat too distant to warrant intervention. According to their Military advisors, any force capable of reaching Andromeda would arrive too late to matter. Stone studied the tactical projections, his analytical mind processing the implications. They are not wrong about the distance. Even with our fastest ships, we are looking at a minimum 6-month journey through hyperspace. By the time we arrive, this devourer threat could have consumed half the Andromeda sector. Which is exactly why we need to leave immediately, Chen replied. Marcus, I'm authorizing Operation Starfall. You'll take the 7th Fleet and our new experimental vessels. This is humanity's chance to prove we belong among the major galactic powers. The captain raised an eyebrow. The experimental ships were barely out of prototype phase, their quantum fusion drives untested in combat conditions. The technology represented humanity's most ambitious leap forward, combining salvaged alien tech with human engineering ingenuity. Admiral, with respect, we are talking about taking untested technology into combat against an unknown enemy 50,000 light-years from home. If something goes wrong, if we do nothing, we'll be next eventually, Chen interrupted. The pattern analysis shows these devourers are following hyperspace routes. They are not randomly destroying systems, they are mapping the galaxy's infrastructure. Once they finish with Andromeda, they'll start working their way toward the core worlds. Stone nodded slowly, understanding the strategic implications. Humanity occupied the outer rim of the galaxy, positioned along several major hyperspace corridors. If the Devourers were indeed following established routes, Earth would be directly in their path within a few years. What's our force composition? Stone asked, shifting into tactical planning mode. Chen activated a new display showing the assembled fleet. The flagship Indomitable, equipped with our latest quantum fusion core. 6 heavy cruisers, 12 destroyers, and 4 support vessels. Total crew complement of 8,000. We are also sending the research vessel Endeavour with our best xenobiology team. And our mission parameters. Primary objective, investigate the Andromeda threat and render assistance to surviving civilizations. Secondary objective, gather intelligence on Devourer capabilities and weaknesses. Tertiary objective, demonstrate human commitment to galactic security. Stone studied the fleet roster, recognizing many of the names. Commander Lisa Vega of the cruiser Defiant, known for her innovative shield modifications. Captain James Wu of the destroyer Mongoose, whose crew had perfected new boarding tactics. These were some of humanity's finest officers, representing years of training and experience. Timeline, Admiral. Departure in 72 hours. I know it's rushed, but every day we delay means more civilizations fall to these machines. The Zephyrian Research Station is still monitoring the situation, and the rate of system loss is accelerating. As Stone prepared to leave, Chen called him back. Marcus, there's something else. Intelligence suggests some council species are quietly monitoring our response. They want to see if humanity will actually follow through, or if we are just making empty gestures like so many species do. Let them watch, Stone replied grimly. They are about to learn what humans do when innocent people call for help. 3 days later, the assembled 7th Fleet gathered at Lunar Station, humanity's primary military shipyard. The sight was impressive even by galactic standards, sleek vessels incorporating the best of human engineering and adapted alien technology. The flagship Indomitable stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull bristling with experimental weapons and sensor arrays. In the ship's briefing room, Stone addressed his senior officers. The assembled captains and commanders represented humanity's military elite, men and women who had proven themselves in conflicts across human space. Ladies and gentlemen, Stone began, we're embarking on the longest military operation in human history. We are traveling further from Earth than any human force has ever gone, to fight an enemy we don't understand, 4 people we've never met. Commander Vega leaned forward, her olive skin reflecting the briefing room's harsh lighting. Sir, what do we know about these Devourers? The intelligence reports are fragmentary at best. Captain Wu, a compact man with prematurely grey hair, added his own concerns. The crystalline transmission mentioned machines that adapt to countermeasures. If they can learn and evolve during combat, traditional tactics might be useless. Stone nodded. Which is why we are bringing Dr. Sarah Kim and her xenobiology team. If these devourers are artificial intelligences, they might have exploitable weaknesses in their programming. Our job is to buy the science team time to find those weaknesses. Dr. Kim, a slight woman with intense brown eyes, spoke from her position near the back of the room. Captain, I've reviewed the available data extensively. The devourers appear to be self-replicating machines, possibly von Neumann probes that have exceeded their original programming parameters. Their ability to convert matter into more units makes them exponentially dangerous. Recommendations, Doctor. Don't let them establish a foothold. Every ship they destroy, every asteroid they process, makes them stronger. We need to hit them hard and fast before they can adapt to our tactics. Commander Torres of the Engineering Corps raised his hand. Sir, what about our quantum fusion cores? The technology is revolutionary, but we've never tested them under combat stress. If something goes wrong in the middle of a battle, then we improvise, Stone replied. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt under pressure. The galaxy considers us primitive because we don't have energy shields or gravitic weapons. What they don't understand is that sometimes primitive solutions work when advanced ones fail. The meeting continued for hours, covering logistics, communication protocols, and contingency plans. As the officers filed out to prepare their ships, Stone felt the familiar mixture of anticipation and dread that preceded major operations. Later that evening, Stone stood on the Indomitable's observation deck, watching Earth turn slowly below. The blue marble that had given birth to humanity looked peaceful from orbit, its cities twinkling like stars against the darkness. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, an entire sector was dying while the galaxy's major powers debated and delayed. Second thoughts, sir, asked Commander Elena Vasquez, the Indomitable's executive officer. The Venezuelan officer had served with Stone for 5 years, earning his complete trust through her tactical expertise and unwavering loyalty. About the mission? No. About taking experimental ships into combat against an unknown enemy. Every minute. Vasquez smiled. Sir, with respect, when has humanity ever waited for perfect conditions before doing the right thing? We went to space in chemical rockets, established colonies with technology held together by hope and determination. This is just the next step. Stone chuckled. Elena, remind me to recommend you for philosophy classes when we get back. If we get back, sir. When we get back. I refuse to consider any other possibility. The next morning brought the final preparations. Supplies were loaded, last-minute equipment checks completed, and crew members said their farewells to families. The fleet's chaplains held services for multiple faiths, blessing the ships and crews for the dangerous journey ahead. ATO 800 hours ship time, Admiral Chen's voice echoed through every vessel in the fleet. Ladies and gentlemen of the 7th Fleet, you carry with you the hopes and prayers of all humanity. The galaxy may see us as newcomers, as primitives playing with technology beyond our understanding. Today, you have the chance to prove them wrong. The quantum fusion drives came online with a low harmonic hum that resonated through every hull. Space around the fleet began to shimmer as the experimental drives prepared to tear holes in reality itself. Fleet formation established. Reported Navigation Officer Park. All ships ready for hyperspace transition. Asterisk. Stone took his position in the captain's chair, feeling the weight of command settle around him like a familiar cloak. Signal the fleet. Operation Starfall is a go. All ships engage hyperspace drives. The universe twisted around them as the fleet disappeared into the higher dimensions, racing toward a distant sector where civilizations were dying and an ancient evil was awakening. Behind them, Earth continued its eternal rotation, unaware that its children were speeding toward humanity's greatest test. In the depths of hyperspace, surrounded by swirling energies that hurt to look at directly, the human fleet pressed forward into the unknown. They carried with them weapons that had never been tested, technology that might fail at the worst possible moment, and a determination that the galaxy had never seen before. The Devourers had consumed 17 star systems, defeating every force sent against them. They were about to encounter something they had never faced before, humans who refused to accept that any enemy was truly unstoppable. Asterisk.